my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
Oh, good morning. I'm Maddie Russell, Congregational Life Coordinator, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the service of the First Universalist Church of Rochester. If you're here for the first time this morning, we especially welcome you. Thank you for making it to our worshiping community. Please remain for coffee hour after the service for connection and fellowship. There's a visitor's form that can be found on the back of your order of service or by clicking the link in the chat. Please fill this out so that we can offer you a welcome beyond what we can offer you here on a Sunday morning. If you're looking to be part of our welcoming ministry at First Universalist, please sign up to offer coffee hour. Partnering with others is always encouraged. Before we take a moment to turn to our neighbor, let's take a moment to turn to the camera and to greet our online worshiping community with a little wave. And to our folks online, please wait to share joys and sorrows until later in the service so that they'll be visible to us here in the sanctuary. And if you're here in person at First Universalist, let's take a moment to greet our neighbor this morning.
Thank you.
Oh, of course.
Glad you're here. All right, y'all, let's sing. This morning we are singing a couple of Advent hymns as we are in the season of Advent for some of us. And so we'll begin with singing hymn number 226, People Look East. The lyrics will be up here on the screens and also in your gray hymnal if you prefer. Beautiful. Please be seated.
Welcome to our beautiful church, a glorious Claude Bragdon masterpiece. We are part of the connective tissue that holds the legacy and future of our faith, a singular yet overarching denomination. We are the children of freedom fighters, visionaries, and radical liberal theologians, of parents of other religions or no religion. We gather to worship in our inspiring building, echoing the great cathedrals of Europe. We are the phoenix rising out of the ashes of the McCarthy and Trump eras and the civil rights, women's, and queer liberation movements, always ongoing. We are encouraged to be change makers, boundary pushers, and institutionalists contemporaneously. To remind us of our history and beliefs, we have this creation, with its Notre Dame-like rose window, placed untraditionally in the ceiling, with its gilded cupids, evoking love and heaven, reminiscent of angels and old masters' paintings, yet frozen above in a synchronized dance, needing only to turn and face the four directions to call in the spirits of the woodland creatures and the Haudenosaunee, who not long ago thrived here. We have our rare old Hope Jones organs, for worship requires music. We have ancient biblical values installed in the apse ages ago: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is indeed love. Amending that are this church's glorious old tapestries: faith, hope, love, and yes, truth, evident to all who look up. We need truth. Our church also wears our beliefs in its surprising Celtic cross, cresting the roof, reaching for the infinite. And in our old Christian and newer not-so-Christian windows. And in last century's banners, proclaiming that we draw inspiration from all great religions. We congregants, too, wear our faith in tattoos, on buttons on our shirts, and quietly in our hearts. Testaments to the inspiration of our ancestors and elders. We thank those ancestors who created this church, acting always with love. Come, let us worship together. As Lou Ward Baker comes forward to light our chalice, it's Lou's birthday month. We should celebrate him the whole month. So as he comes forward, slow like me, to light our chalice here at the First Universalist Church, and you light a chalice in your own homes, please join me in our chalice lighting words spoken in unison. May we be a people of welcome, here to grow in heart and mind and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Thank you, Lou. Please rise in body or in spirit for our affirmation of faith, followed by our song offering. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the source and the meaning of life, thus to be covenant with each other and with all.
What we need is here. What we need is here. What we need is here. What we need Please be seated.
Let us take this opportunity to honor the ancestors of our church, the people who first came together to create a home for liberal religion here in Rochester, who worked to raise money for the church organization beginning in 1824, and who built a building in 1846, and then this one starting in 1907. The people who sat in committee meetings and created bylaws, who chopped and marinated and baked for potlucks, who painted and weeded and pounded nails and washed countless dishes, who gathered to worship, to learn, to grieve, to heal, to serve, to build justice, to transform their lives and this world. We are the recipients of an incredible gift and a beautiful vision. Let us do our part to keep this congregation strong, vital, and thriving for the generations to come. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order of service. And for folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to the First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
Beloveds, if we have any kids joining us today online, please come forward to the screen at this time. And especially for kids who are remaining up in our childcare space, please come forward so you can see just a little bit better. I want to share a story this morning during our Story for All Ages from my personal experience. I can remember the first time I walked into this sanctuary. It was during a super secret visit that was a part of my ministerial search process with you all. And I had to be snuck into the building so no one would meet me who wasn't supposed to. Now, I'm not a very subtle person, but they did a great job. Your search committee did a great job. I was brought through first through the Clara Barton Lounge, usually where our coffee hour is, for folks who don't know that name of that space. And I had to be snuck up here into the organ loft, where Charlie is now, because for some reason on this Saturday, the choir was rehearsing in here, and folks hadn't quite yet cleared out. It was during the weekend for the first March for Our Lives. And so there's a ton of activity happening all around our building. Snow plows had blocked off access to all the streets around here. Folks were gathering over at Washington Square Park. But when I emerged into this space from up there in the back far left corner, it was breathtaking, especially to see it from above. Beautiful. Stunning. And I especially felt drawn to these 4 pictures, these 4 virtues around the room. Faith, hope, love, truth. I just thought they were really fascinating. I've never seen any sort of figures like this in any of the congregations I've attended or served in. And when I asked about them, I found out that they're actually cloth tapestries that are affixed to the wall. I thought they were paintings at first. You did too? Other folks? Yeah, I'm seeing some folks saying, I thought it was paintings. Yeah, they were tapestries. They're tapestries. They do have a certain draw to them, don't they? Oh, thank you, Oliver. We're focusing on them here for our online community too. I asked a member of our congregation, Michael Scott, a bit more about them this week, and they are original to this building, which was built in 1907, which I find fascinating. And I love that this church, even back then, was holding feminine, divine representations around the room, with many different representations of the natural world. For those of you who don't really think about it, with faith to keep the sword there, so often I consider that a sword of truth, and as someone who studies the tarot, that's certainly a piece of sort of air symbology and truth. I love that they embody different virtues. It's always interesting to me that truth holds a mirror, that hope holds a little plant as well as a crown of gold, that love holds a baby. Did you know, maybe some of you do who have been a part of this congregation for a while, that hope fell in our sanctuary? First in the 1970s, and then 2 additional times after. So hope here has fallen 3 times and had to be restored and resurrected yet again and again and again. And isn't that just the Universalist message right there? In this time period, we sure could use some more hope. And when hope was restored the last time, there was a globe painted on the bottom of it, globe of the world painted on the bottom of it, where for most folks, it's typically, for most of our virtues, it's typically a golden ball. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to reach that, Oliver, but I love you so much for trying. You're the best. It was a controversial decision at the time. Some folks really did not like that it set hope apart from everybody, from all of the other virtues, that it wasn't in line with the aesthetic of these 4 virtues. And I wonder what we all think about that. Like, certainly people who were here at the time were used to how it used to look, but there are many of us who have come into this space who had no idea that this was a part of the change. So if you're joining us here in the space, I just want to see just a show of hands. Who likes the world globe being there? Anybody? Okay. All right. Anybody not like it? No shade. No tea, no shade. Yes. I love this. Yes. Way to take a stand, Adam. Yeah. That's the most you thing of all, taking the unpopular opinion, right? I consider these, in my mind, sort of 4 guardians of this space. A reminder of the values that continue to guide this church and have guided us throughout our history. They are guiding values for our Universalist ancestors when this space was built by Claude Bragdon, and they are guiding values for us today. I think this is a part of who we are and how we are with each other, and I'm really excited to explore more with you as we continue through today's service. But we'll take a break for now, and we'll prepare our hearts for a time of joys and sorrows, for a time of prayer, especially as I heard in our offertory piece this morning, we do need these moments of quiet. So as we prepare our hearts, let us sing our doxology together. Beautiful. Let us settle in after being grounded in the sounds of our Hope Jones organ. Let us settle into our bodies, into our spirits, get in touch with that reservoir within, with that space of quiet inside of us that allows us to listen with heart and mind and spirit. If you would like to, you can place a hand over your heart to honor that listening from wherever you are, whether you are joining us here in the sanctuary or online. And as Trish places stones into the bowl, I will read aloud the joys and the sorrows of our gathered community. And if you're joining online, would you please share a joy or a sorrow or whatever you have to share in the chat, and I will read them aloud. This morning, we share a joy from Richard Reed, that he recently had a biopsy, and it is a huge relief and a joy that my biopsy was benign. Celebrating with you, Richard. We have a joy this morning from Trish Gallagher, who this weekend is off to Chicago to see her daughter, Kelsey, and her family for a pre-Christmas celebration. Joining you in that joy, Trish, and thinking of you and Kelsey and family. Hoping for a sweet reunion. We have a joy this morning from Marty Eggers, who just spent a long weekend in Chicago. Y'all, what? Last week, to celebrate a grandson's 8th birthday, he wrote a welcome note. It's not my birthday until Grandma is here. I know, right? Marty, what the heck? These little cuties. All right, so we share a joy. A joy from Karen Labraco. A joy to be at my new home in Georgia, so close to my daughter and granddaughter. We are so grateful that you are there, my dear, and so glad that you are able to be there with your family and are continuing to wish you a good settling in. Would you scroll down and see if we have other, oh man, some days. We're sharing a sorrow from Susan, I'm assuming Susan Reedy, that her mother is failing and may move to memory care this week, that her mother's health is failing. Susan, we are thinking of you and thinking of your family. We are holding you in love. A joy today from Pat Stott that the service is focusing on our beautiful building. The history of the church, Reaching for the Infinite, was co-authored by her husband, Keith Stott. It is available in our church library if you're interested in reading more. Thanks for that promotional message. And then from Sandra Smith, the joy that my son and son-in-law are coming for Christmas. I also want to just prepare our hearts. We've had a lot of sorrow in our congregation this week, and so it is a sorrow to share this morning from Ann Rohde that her sister Eileen Musson died this past week, surrounded by family after a long and well-fought battle with cancer. Ann and family will be holding a memorial service here in May of 2025, and our hearts this morning are with all who loved Eileen, a dedicated and large presence on our online community for quite a bit of time. We also share a sorrow this morning from Reverend Michelle Yates. Our Minister of Lifespan Faith Development, after a couple of weeks in hospice care, Reverend Michelle's mother-in-law and Walter's grandmother, Edna Yates, died this past week. Our hearts and our thoughts are with Reverend Michelle and her family, grateful she is able to be with them this morning. We share a sorrow also that Paula Marchese lifted up, and it's on behalf of our entire Rochester community, that Father Jim Callan died yesterday after a long battle with cancer. He was a major force for social change and justice here in Rochester, and his loss is profound. And we just hold today reverently just how much cancer sucks. West is sharing today a joy, knowing that we humans have an important role to play and continue to bring others love and truth. What a beautiful reminder to bring us back to. Thank you so much, West. So we'll take a deep breath. And we'll drop one final stone into the bowl to represent all of the joys and the sorrows held in the silent sanctuaries of all of our hearts. May all be held in the heart of love. As we do each Sunday when we gather, and as I continue to pray that we will not have to continue to do, we hold that we are a worshiping community meeting in a time of war and conflict. And we each Sunday light 2 candles to honor the ways that we remain connected to these wars and these conflicts happening seemingly so far away, yet so connected to our hearts and to our spirits. So this morning we light a white candle to recognize all of the grief felt in a time of war and conflict. We honor the griefs felt in Palestine, in Israel, in Lebanon, in Ukraine, in the Congo and Sudan, in so many places. And we connect the griefs and the losses we feel here, the many deaths that we have experienced this past week. We connect our own sorrows to the sorrows that those who are directly experiencing war and conflict are experiencing now. All the different losses. We light a yellow candle to also remind us of the tenacity of the human spirit, the joys, the celebrations, the milestones still marked, the smiles from grandchildren, the proud grandparents, those beautiful weddings, childbirths that still happen in the midst of war and conflict. We connect the joys that we feel here, the ways that we know we want to be reunited with our families, with the joys that folks are feeling across the world in moments when they are reunited with their families. We will hold a moment of silence to honor the many deaths, the many losses that have happened this past week due to wars across our world. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. Let us continue this practice of not numbing, not hardening our hearts, but continuing to connect our hearts to the world. I want to invite you in this moment into a time of prayer and meditation with me, with each other. Take a moment to get settled into your seats, to pull your hands back from the keyboard, to allow your shoulders to roll down, to maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze, to breathe here with your being. To embrace a moment of pausing on the forming edge of our days and of our lives. We are waiting in a season of slowing down, in this season of lowness, of darkness, where the sun sets so soon, while the snow falls and melts softly on the ground. We are waiting. What is to come in the year ahead? It may feel like too much to think about. It may bring an excited anticipation. It may bring worry into our hearts. We are waiting. What can love say to us in this time? To continue to soften, to continue to strengthen up our beloveds, to rest the mind and the body, to be with this season of anticipation. We are waiting. What can truth say to us in this time? That it is okay to be who we are, that we need not perform or change for the comfort of others, that we can trust those around us to hear when we speak. We are waiting. What can hope say to us in this time? That this too shall pass, that things will change, that God is change. That we can continue to create a future where all are free, that our ancestors too have resisted oppression and survived so that we may exist in this world. We are waiting. What can faith say to us in this time? Believe in those around you who continue to care. Remember, there are larger forces that connect us. Remember, our values are sacred. We are waiting. Let our hearts rest for a moment here in the silence and the stillness, allowing the love, the truth, the hope, the faith to speak to our quiet hearts. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. As we have been in the month of December, we will sing our hymn of contemplation, Wake Now, My Senses, and we will sing verses 2, 3, and 4. So, I set out this week to think through some of the history of these 4 virtues hanging out around our sanctuary. But then the inspiration struck, and I had a different idea about how to explore these 4 virtues. Bear with me for a moment. About a year or so ago, I had the privilege of attending a lecture just over here at the Strong Museum of Play with N.K. Jemisin, one of the most prolific science fiction and fantasy authors of our time. It's incredible, right? Are there people here who are familiar with her work? Anybody? Okay, we've got a few folks. Oh, this is going to be a delight. Are there people here who were there that day who attended this? I thought you did, MJ. I knew there were some First Universalist folks in that space. It wasn't just me. She was discussing her most recent work. She's written on all kinds of incredible worlds. She's a world builder. In one particular world, she writes about people who have the capacity to shape and move the earth, and what that means when they live amongst human beings, and how they have to sort of manage and control and learn how to hone their skills. But during this time, she was discussing her most recent work, The City We Became, where 5 people overnight turn into the avatars or the embodiment of the 5 boroughs of New York City. Each person a specific race, class, social status, etc., to match the particular borough that they represent. Each imbued with particular superpowers as well as weaknesses that fit their particular part of New York. And it's really an incredible book if you know New York and have been there, New York City, by the way, downstate as we refer to it here. And the second one in the series just came out. It started with a short story, and she turned it into a novel and is building this world where this sort of occupying force that has come through all these different cities in the world is now coming to New York City, and these 5 people that represent these boroughs have to respond and fight it off with their superpowers. She's talking with us about a year ago about this and about building worlds, sort of the creative task that we undertake when we're building a new world. And for her, she had to build a world within human beings, which I think is so fascinating. As she was talking about this, she invited those of us gathered there to think through what an avatar of Rochester would be. How would they live? Who was Rochester? We got into 6 different groups to determine what the different qualities would be of the city of Rochester, and each group answered one of 6 questions. What is the gender of an avatar of Rochester? What is their class status and job situation? What is their affectional orientation and relationship status? What do they like to do for fun? What is their kryptonite, or what can cause them harm? And what is their superpower? It was fascinating to see what a room full of people came up with for our city, how folks came together who had not previously known each other. Quite frankly, when she asked us to do this, I thought we would fail miserably. So skeptical. But I was in a group to determine Rochester's sexual orientation, affectional orientation, and relationship status, and we all decided that Rochester was definitely queer and also polyamorous, while being in a complicated relationship with Syracuse and Buffalo. Like an on-again, off-again romance, a little push and pull. Some days we love them. Some days we can't stand to be in the same room as them. So many other groups came up with other features of this avatar that were incredible. I believe the superpower was something about freezing or cold. Makes sense, right? What I'm wondering this morning, what I'm wondering for us, is what the avatars of these 4 virtues would be like. We already see what they look like, I guess. We see these embodiments of faith, hope, truth, and love right here in this space. And I wonder exactly who we could imagine them to be if they were avatars, embodiments of these different values and virtues moving through the world. I know in some of the questions that I mentioned, the first question was about gender. We all know what they look like, and yet we also know that we cannot tell from what they look like exactly what their genders could or should be. And so we will actually take a moment to do an imaginative exercise this morning together. If you came here to church today to not talk to your neighbor, I am deeply sorry. And also I will just say, this is a tough church to be in if that's the case. But, I'm going to ask us to get into 3 groups here in our sanctuary, and I'm going to ask our online community to be a group as we share on these 6 questions. What is the gender of an avatar of whichever one I assign to your group? What is their class status and job situation? What is their affectional orientation and relationship status? What do they like to do for fun and recreation? What is their kryptonite? What can cause them harm? And what is their superpower? Well, let's come on back together. Yeah, I know. Look at y'all. If it's okay with you, I'm going to just share out with you some of what our online community talked about faith. And I got to listen into some of your conversation. I didn't listen in on all of it, I'm sorry, but I am just amazed that we get to do this and participate in this way together. So they had faith right here. And what they said was faith's class and job is working people who earn an hourly wage. Oh, wait, I'm going back to the beginning. All right, so, yeah, thank you so much. Their kryptonite is not acknowledging our ugly history. What they do for fun is volunteering, outdoor fun. Class and job, working class, or other folks said maybe economically poor. My experience is that rich people don't need anything beyond money. Poor need faith. Faith would have faith in all. Their gender and sexuality are non-binary and pansexual. Their superpower is love and being generous with love. And just remember, their kryptonite is not acknowledging our history that's ugly. So how about our folks right up here in front? Is anybody willing to report back? I can hand you the microphone.
Can we put the questions back up? Because I can't remember why I'm in a room. Okay. We had hope. So the gender was, remind me, guys? Fluid. Class status was of modest means, and job situation was some kind of service work, teacher, social worker, nurse, that kind of thing. Affectional orientation was they love everyone, and asexual was brought up as well, which I think is important. What do they like to do for fun is to create sparkly things. What their kryptonite is complacency.
Ooh.
And their superpower is persistence.
Oh, I love that. All right, I'm coming to the back here. Fantastic. You all had truth over here? Is anybody willing to report back from truth? Elizabeth, you're willing to report back from truth?
Yes, we were very happy to deal with the truth.
Oh, God.
And our gender was non-binary, but that's not gender. We had class status was in the, what's the phrase I want to use? Speaking truth to power. Someone who had enough status in their job to speak truth to power. As a public defender type.
Oh, public defender.
Their affectional orientation and relationship status was single and powerful single. What they did for fun was entertain, had cat shows, attended cat shows.
Cat shows?
Had their cats.
Sure. Definitely.
Kryptonite, or what caused them harm, was lack of truth. Fake news.
Ooh, fake news.
And their superpower, again, speaking truth to power.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Fantastic. Who would like to speak over Bill Jones? Okay, you all have selected. You all had like note takers back here. You were very organized. I hope it's okay, but I took a picture of you all while you were all chatting in your groups because it was just so inspirational to me.
So first of all, the gender is a woman. And as far as the job situation, job is therapist and motherhood. For the affectional orientation relationship, we had polyamorous and pansexual. What do they like to do for fun? Singing, dancing, and archery.
Sure. Yeah. That's so good. With the arrow, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love that. Cupid arrows, okay.
Their kryptonite is the inability to see red flags.
Oh, God, yeah. Whew.
And finally, the superpower is making connections and baked goods.
You love to see it. Love through a baked good. I know that's one that this church takes part in often. Dear ones, I think it's such an interesting practice to get to think through how we embody these pieces And also in what ways these four virtues that surround us every Sunday, who they call us to be. How for some of us, we are speaking to jobs, class statuses that we ourselves have. What I hear around this room is being of service. What I hear around this room is a desire to be in honesty and integrity. What I hear around this room are some examples of what it looks like to be a caring community. And it's interesting to imagine not only these avatars, but how they function in the world we are in or in the world we are building. Let us not allow these four virtues that sit around our room to remain in the historical past, some part of who we have been. But let us remember them as our legacy and our guiding values in the future that we are building together. In this season of waiting, in this season of busyness and hecticness, and also the desire to rest, let us take time to reflect on where these four virtues are calling us. Thank you for today. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so. This inspiration for this sermon struck me, and this time actually, it's not really a sermon, right? This exercise struck me last night, and I ended up reaching out to Oliver like this morning when I got here. So, and Nancy reminded me that I am also called to this virtue of truth, so I'm telling on myself a little bit. Thank you, Oliver, for making this work today. Because he is over there working hard today for us. As we close our service, I want to invite us to sing one of my favorite hymns of all time, and also, quite frankly, one of Brock's favorite hymns, and he's away with his family this week so he can be with us for Christmas Eve. So we'll have to sing it extra special for him so he can hear us all the way in Wyoming. But please join us in singing this Advent hymn, hymn number 225, O come, Emmanuel. Please rise in body or in spirit and let us sing together.
Give comfort to all.
extinguish our chalice flame, this morning I will invite you to speak in unison our chalice extinguishing words, both on the screen and in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in, until we are together again. Dear ones, I invite you to place a hand over your heart to connect to this love space within each and every one of us. Sorry, my microphone was off. I'll invite you to reach a hand to your heart to connect from this love space for each and every one of us. Take a look around at those who are here with you, those that you've had a chance to connect with today, those that you haven't yet had a chance to connect with. Those who are joining us online here on our screens here in the sanctuary. Dear ones, rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice. We are here together, guided by these four virtues that have guided our ancestors and continue to call to us today. May we be reminded this day that faith, hope, truth, and love are a part of each and every single one of us, and that they are a part of our world, however hard sometimes it feels they are to find. Let us go into our days, into the moments ahead, knowing that we ourselves are the bearers of faith, hope, truth, and especially love. And may we go and be these four virtues, with love at the center, to everyone we shall meet. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.
This is a bit of an Advent song. It's an advent of the coming season. And I woke up today and found frost perched on the town. It hovered in a frozen sky. It gobbled summer down. And when the sun turns traitor cold, shining trees are standing in a naked row. I get the urge for going, I never seem to go. But I get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is a falling down, winter's closing in. I had a love in summertime with summer-colored skin, and not another man in town my darling's heart did win. When the leaves fell tumbling down, bully winds did rub their faces in the snow. She got the urge for going, I had to let her go. And I get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is a falling down, winter's closing in. and the warriors of winter give a cold, triumphant shout. And all that stays is dying, all that lives is getting out. You see the geese in chevron flight, flapping and a-racing on before the snow. Well, they got the urge for going, they got the wings to go. And I get the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is a-falling down, winter's closing in. Now I'll ply the fire with kindling, I'll pull the blanket to my chin. I'll lock the vagrant winter out, I'll bolt my wandering in. I'd like to call back summertime, have her stay for just another month or so. But she's got the urge for going, I guess she'll have to go. Well, she gets the urge for going when the meadow grass is turning brown. All her empires are falling down, winter's closing in. Winter's closing in.